Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
You're fired. Who has Trump Derangement Syndrome? Is Iran ready to surrender? Not. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman with another hard-hitting broadcast for you. I've got Dr. Scott Bradley with me, freedomsrisingsun.com, his incredible website. Check out his incredible To Preserve the Nation collegiate series, available now. Also check out his weekly webinars, Q&As on the Constitution, and more every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And if you go to freedomsrisingsun.com, you can get a ticket and join the group. You can watch it later on Rumble and on BitChute and other places. Check it out. Freedom's Call is what you want to look for that, Dr. Scott Bradley. But there's so much going on, so little time. Let's just kick it right off. Dr. Bradley, welcome to the show. Is Iran ready to surrender? Not.
Well, and there's so many signs. I mean, all you hear from the administration is, oh my goodness, they're on the floor, they're unconscious, they're knocked out, whatever, they're on the ropes. I mean, anything you want to say.
Annihilated, decimated, destroyed, unable to respond, confused, divided, right?
And then when it comes time to, or maybe has an opportunity to sit down and talk at the table, they don't even come. I mean,
they don't want to come. Why would they come? Hold on. Why would they come, Doctor, to the table? Look, they put together a 10-point plan, and we just absolutely rejected every bit of it. They didn't start this. We did. I mean, what are they going to come and discuss?
Well, what happened the last time? Well, I mean, there's so many things to talk about on this, but they negotiated for 21 hours. I'm sure nobody took a potty break or went out and got a soda or something. But the fact of the matter is, 21 hours, absurd. The Obama agreement that they put together took 20 months of negotiations. And you look at what happened in Southeast Asia, a lot of people don't know that negotiations started in May 1968. Tet Offensive was winding down, and they finally signed the agreement in January of 1973, four and a half years plus. And
this is Donald, man. He's the art of the deal guy. Come on now.
You know what? It's
21 hours, man.
It's not a park in New York that they're negotiating what trees are going to come up. I mean, this is stuff that takes time.
But I got a question for you, Doctor. I don't mean to be rude, but why do we even need to negotiate, though? Why do we need to sit down with them and hammer out something that we agree on? Why do we even have to do that at all?
Well, that's the thing, and it's coming up here quickly, May 1st, actually. There's a 60-day limit based on the 1973 War Powers Resolution.
Yeah, but they're going to ignore that, right?
Well, that's the problem. This is the law, if you will, and here's the deal.
Law?
Now, 5 times as of yesterday, times there has been a resolution before the Senate that basically is trying to rein in Trump. It's all failed, but on the May 1st deal, you have to have a positive resolution saying you can continue or you can't. Now, of course, that violates Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, but the fact of the matter is that's what the law reads. See, stuff that they've tried to pass.
But they don't obey the law, Doctor. They're just going to ignore that. Just be like, we already said multiple times that, we tried to prove a negative and it didn't work. And so instead of doing what they're supposed to do, which means create a backing for the war, they don't want to do that. That gets them in financial questionable difficulty with donors and investor, whatever you want to say, lobbyists and everything else. What they want to do is they want to have a negative where it's like, hey, we turned it down. Donald can do what he wants. And that way they don't have any real responsibility. There's no accountability in the game that way, see?
Well, the spineless Republicans, as of yesterday, the vote was 46-51. So Rand Paul was the only Republican that voted in favor of saying you can't carry on this war. So because they didn't vote against the war could continue. But come May 1st, there has to be a positive...
well, there's supposed to be.
Trump, yeah, there should be. Trump could have vetoed anything that they had passed. I mean, it's just...
unless they have a majority enough, high enough
veto
bar
proof.
to prevent him from vetoing it. But yes, that's right.
But so May 1st, in order to continue the war, there has to be a positive vote. Yes, go forward. Here's the deal. You have
there has to be. That's if we obey the law. Yes, sir.
Okay, but see, Sam, you don't seem to understand. Here's the deal. We are in total abject violation of not only the Constitution, but the thing that they call a law. And here's the deal. Well, that 60-day limit comes on May 1st, and they've got 30 days to withdraw the troops. And so, the
It's
30
not going to happen.
days.
They're still building up, buddy. They just launched toward now. They have 3 massive ships over there. It's unprecedented. Even it's been they haven't had that going on since like 2001 or 2 or something like that.
Well, the problem is, and you talk about the risks of going through the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. They were open the 27th of February, and now they're closed, and the world's got a chokehold on it. I talked to somebody yesterday that
I think I'm going to put a close on the closers, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that travels internationally an awful lot, and she told me that hundreds of thousands of flights have already been canceled in Europe for the coming summer because of fuel constraints.
They don't have any fuel, buddy. How are you going to fly people around without any fuel?
Well, that's the thing is, hundreds of thousands. And if, in fact, it goes on for a few more weeks, they may have to cancel air travel altogether in Europe. Who knows?
Fine. You don't need air travel anymore.
Well, that's the thing is that the imbecilic
Here's the bottom line.
action.
Here's what I'm kind of getting at. I'm demonstrating the absurd by being absurd a little bit. Look, they don't care about the law. Dr. Scott Bradley is absolutely spot on this. They must, according to the law. My problem is they're above the law these days. And so, I know what's supposed to happen and what ought to happen and what morally and lawfully ought to happen, but they don't seem to care. Iran's not ready to surrender. There's no reality of that whatsoever. Donald Trump is in a hard spot right now because he's used all the leverage he kind of has right now. And now what he's done is he's kind of said, I can't go further because if I do, then I'm going to be possibly a war criminal. And I'm going to start to have to put troops on the ground and change the game to where I'll probably lose the support of the American people. I already don't have the support of the international community like I thought I was going to get. I thought I could, get Iran to cry uncle way earlier than I did. I can't. And so now Trump's in this bind, in this spot where he's kind of like, hey, Iran, I need you to come up with what you think the solutions are going to be. Hey, everybody, we've got a 100% long-term ceasefire here. Although people are still shooting left and right and attacking left and right, but the ceasefire's in place. You never know what a ceasefire means. My ceasefire is different definition than theirs. Theirs ceasefire is we're going to pretend and say we're in a ceasefire while we continue to fire. Mine would be a real one like they did in Christmas back in the World War I days or whatever it was. A real ceasefire for a little bit. But at the end of the day, though, if you defend Trump, then you're on this perilous idea that how do you move forward? You can't force the issue, or you got to put people on the ground or take the next steps. You can't back away or you look weak. And so now Trump's in this bind where what does he do? So he creates this, very fragile pretend ceasefire, and he acts like he's being the nice guy, hoping Iran will do something that he wants them to do to let him gain the, quote, moral high ground or take the win. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Okay, these people have been at war for thousands of years. Okay, you can, obliterate them possibly. You can create stoppage of oil to them or stoppage of ships going to them like they're doing to us. And now we're just playing a game of chicken. Who will break first? And I have this creeping feeling that they won't break first. Now you can say, well, they have been able to handle war and attacks and everything else, but they can't handle this total blockade. We shall see, Doctor.
Well, that's the thing. Trump needs the off-ramp more than anybody does. And I think he's either lost interest or he's moved on to other things, or he knows that he's toast in terms of, the midterm elections. It's going to be a real bloodbath for the Republicans.
I pray not, because I don't think the Republicans are great, but I think the Democrats will be way worse. One of the first things they'll start to do is come after me and you, sir.
Well, that's the thing is they'll come after Trump too. He'll have a monthly flavor of impeachment. Whatever, because if you get the majority in the House, they bring the impeachment articles. It has been an absolute disaster. There is not one upside to what's going on. Every single objective.
You know what I think the problem with you is, Doctor?
I don't know.
I think you just have Trump Derangement Syndrome. That's what I think is going on with you.
Well, do you want to talk about that for a while?
Yes, sir.
We probably ought to talk about that. Because that's really the deal.
If you bring up anything that's logical, critical, rational, realistic, constitutional, moral, lawful on this thing, then they want to say you have Trump Derangement Syndrome. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat doing it for their reasons or a conservative constitutionalist doing it for our reasons, whether you do it because you hate Trump or you're doing it because it's the truth, you're all wrapped into this Trump Derangement Syndrome. So I kind of think those who think everybody has Trump Derangement Syndrome, I think they have Trump Derangement Syndrome.
Well, I think it's a broad definition. We probably ought to talk about that when we get back from the break.
You got it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, this broadcast is brought to you by Prep Starts Now. When you want to partner in preparedness, think PrepStartsNow.com. I'm Sam Bushman. Dr. Scott Bradley with me, FreedomsRisingSun.com in seconds.
I really don't want to talk about this, but I will. I'm just so mad. I didn't get asked to the junior prom and it's raining, which means by the time I get to school, I'm soaking wet. Dad picked me up just after I left and I was so mad I got out and he said, wait, your mom said to give you this. I forgot my lunch money and then I dropped it in the water and I was late for history, and so at lunchtime I had to find something on John Stuart Mill, which of course our library didn't have. So I had to walk all the way down to the office to call my mom, and she found something on the internet and called me back. And Karen, she wouldn't even help me, and that's a whole nother story. But Dad helped me conjugate nouns or whatever on the way to the swim team workout, and then he read my history paper while I was in the pool, and of course I forgot the bibliography, so I had to do that with my mother when I got home, and it made me totally forget that I put my jeans in the washer that morning, and I hate it when they sit wet like that all day and smell like mildew, but my mom said she put them in the dryer while I was at the swim team, and I'm just not going to go to the prom, no matter who asks me. I just want to stay home with my mom and dad.
Family.
And just hang out.
Isn't it about time?
Unless Dustin asks me.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Are you watching what's happening in our country and asking, what can I do? Join the John Birch Society in Salt Lake City, June 6th, for a powerful one-day conference. The day includes a host of respected speakers, 2 meals, and meaningful connections. You'll gain clarity on the issues and walk away with practical steps you can take to your community. Reserve your seat today at jbs.org/SLC26. That's jbs.org/SLC26.
Okay, you've just got to hear, I believe the Trump Derangement Syndrome definition has become almost universal. Okay, now here's why.
That's right.
For 5 years or so, who knows, I don't know exactly when it started, the term TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, was coined, and it meant these never-Trumpers, these that just were ballistic over anything Trump did.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the topic is. They don't like Trump, so they don't like it. Period. Doesn't matter if they were for it a minute ago. They're against it now because it's Donald, and that's kind of the general beginning definition, right?
Okay, so there's 3 other bodies that make it almost universal, I believe. The next body that's come on board in recent weeks, the last couple of months maybe a little longer than that, is Trump can do no wrong, and I don't care what he does. I am okay with it. I think that's
and if you say anything, you've got Trump Derangement Syndrome too.
Because you have become insane to some level or not, that you believe that the man can do no wrong and everything is okay. Now, I run into these people so constantly. Okay, the third category, I guess you could call, is his abandoned MAGA team. These guys have become, he lied to us. I mean, they're saying, he said no more wars than it goes on and on. The economy, stupid, all of these things, America First stuff, everything. And these guys are abandoning ship. The MAGA crowd is becoming somewhat deranged. And there's a lot of logic behind this crowd, I think. But the fact of the matter is they have become just ballistic because of the stupidity of what's going on. And then the fourth one, which is going to get a lot of pushback, I fear, is that Trump himself has become deranged with his increasingly illogical, erratic rants and behavior. There, by definition, he maybe is suffering from Trump Derangement Syndrome. And so 3 categories: the never-Trumpers, the Trump can do no wrong, the abandoned MAGA team, and then Trump himself is having such an erratic behavior. I mean, who says?
And then the other category I would add is anybody who tells the truth, they want to blame on Trump derangement syndrome. They don't really have it, in my view, but yet they're being thrown into that, that category too, right?
Well, very much so. I mean, the fact of the matter is it all hinges on one deranged man. And then you say, deranged, that's a harsh thing to say. Who says in public meetings this idea we've got to eradicate a whole civilization? We're going to basically glass over their sand by melting it. I mean, he didn't actually.
And who says stuff like, hey, I'm Jesus. Oh, whoops, I was pretending I was a doctor. Wait, who attacks the Pope or a super religious leader when they're just calling for peace? I mean, what you say is, I agree we want peace. Sorry, we're at war, but I agree with the Pope. We hope for peace. Iran, come to the table, please. You don't just attack the Pope. And then you run around, pretend you're Jesus, you attack the Pope, then you say stuff like this. I could pretty much do anything. I could kill somebody in public or whatever I want to do. And, I mean, nobody can stop me. The only thing that stops me is my own moral code. And, those kind of statements are absolutely unhinged, Doctor. But see, if I bring that up, then, I just hate Trump. I'm just a bad guy. No, I'm just trying to be a truth teller and call a spade. When he crosses the line, it's fair to bring it up.
Let me read you a little line out of the German Workers' Party manual, the National Socialist German Workers' Party.
Yeah, which, by the way, we reject, just to be clear, but let's see what it says.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is actually...
I just want to make sure no one gets confused here, right?
Right. But this is what it said when the Nazis were running things. They were National Socialists. They weren't Nazis. They didn't call themselves that, but that's what it really is by our own vernacular today. He's talking about, in this manual, it talks about the power of the chief executive. And this is a quotation, is not limited by checks and controls by special autonomous bodies or individual rights, but is free and independent, all-inclusive and unlimited. He is responsible only to his conscience and the people.
And that's what basically Donald flat out said in public prime time.
Sam, if you're in
I've got to call a BS on it. I've got to stand up and say, no, we don't believe that in America. We have a president who is duly elected by a checks and balance based republic type system. And that puts him in place under very strict guidelines, very delegated, limited, constitutionally documented, enumerated authority. Okay, that's what he's got. And if he operates outside of that, he's a criminal.
If you're using the 1940 handbook, you're in real trouble, Bubby. Anyway, here's the deal. If you're in a delicate diplomatic negotiation state, okay, now twice in the last 8 months, under a negotiation process, we attacked the enemy, so to speak. What in tarnation? But if you're in some kind of sensitive negotiation process, you don't make wild, crazy, idiotic, stupid, belligerent statements that builds the movement against you. You allow the diplomacy to happen. Statesmanship.
Yeah, but what if you're intentionally self-destructing?
Well, see, that's the thing is we don't know. We don't know, but here's the deal.
We can see all signs by their fruit shall you know them. His fruits right now are self-destruction for the Republican Party, for the conservatives, for the MAGA movement, for Donald Trump himself, for everything tied to that. Right now, the fruits are intentional destruction. I mean, what that he stood for is not being destroyed right now.
Every single thing that he promised to deliver, except for a more secure border, but I could argue about that too because of who's getting across without being accosted. But the fact is that Trump can do no wrong, Trump derangement crowd, is not seeing this. You cannot believe how many people want to chop me off at the knees, cut me out of their will, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so weird.
How dare you Trump derangement syndrome candidate.
It's gone ballistic.
You're probably a Manchurian Trump derangement syndrome candidate, aren't you? See, I mean, they just go that far. They just become unhinged, and anything you say or do will be used against you. I mean, it is insanity. No relative discussion. Even Tulsi Gabbard, of all people now, next on Trump's "you're fired" list, question mark. I mean, is that what's going to happen because she's not going along with everything that Donald says? That's what happened to Massey. That's what's happening to Rand Paul, Ron Paul. That's what's happening to Green. I mean, we can keep going, right? But, I mean, anybody who stands up for anything, anywhere, anytime that is different, even if it's what Trump said before. In other words, if Trump abandons it, you better abandon it too, kind of an idea. Trump was against the 702 because they spied on it all over the place, but now he thinks it's absolutely essential, see? So if I stand against 702, now I'm against Trump and I'm deranged. But is Tulsi Gabbard next? Give everybody kind of an understanding of what she's doing. She's standing up, and I commend her for it.
Well, loyalty to Trump seems to be the key issue, not to the Constitution.
But loyalty to Trump only one way, and only on his latest whim. Not loyalty to principle that he stood for, not loyalty to what he ran on or promises, or it's loyalty as it's as fickle as he is. Stay fickly loyal, but it only runs one direction. If that's not deranged, I don't know what is.
His latest brain cramp is what you've got to be loyal to. Now, here's the deal. Tulsi, she's a pretty bright gal. She's always had a position that, we don't need any more Middle East wars, and he knew that when he hired her. And people, the stuff in the War Department is being shuffled pretty heavily by Pete Hegseth, and he's got another derangement issue, I fear. But the fact of the matter is that Tulsi is in the desk that all the intelligence
Sure.
for the world events is crossing her desk, along with, where Joe Kent was there before he resigned on a moral basis. But she's held an unwavering position against an Iranian war. And Trump is in this mode right now where he seems to be firing all of his females that are around him. And I think she's probably next. I'm hearing, okay, here's the deal. If he fires her before the midterms, or anybody and everybody, he will have an opportunity to appoint another person that will have to be confirmed by the Senate. If the midterms come around, he's going to have a mighty dang hard time.
What he's going to do is fire somebody and then end up with nobody, because they'll basically simply, do the Hormuz plan and just block the whole thing, and he won't get anywhere, and then he'll have nobody. The problem is right now he's not needing to fire people because people are starting to jump ship on the Titanic there too a little bit, aren't they? I mean, we've seen several people leave.
We have seen people leave, but Hegseth has fired some of the generals, and I suspect that in private conversations, they have not been yes or 3 bags full. Joe Kent precluded the deal. He's resigned. And Tulsi has always been in a position that there's no intelligence, none, zero, that indicates that Iran is an imminent threat to the United States. They weren't anywhere close to being able to build a nuke.
Hey, you're trying to confuse me with the facts. I don't know what you're trying to do here.
Well, that's the problem. Is that I think there's a strong probability she will either resign or be fired before the midterms.
My guess is that she's going to resign. And the reason I say that is even Dan Bongino resigned. As you mentioned, several other people have resigned. People are starting to see this for what it is, and they're going, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. It reminds me of the poor guy that goes into the military that's, man, hey, I love America. God, family, country, baseball, and apple pie, baby. I'm going to take out the bad guys. I got to do it. It's my duty. And they go, and then they get there, and they're like, what am I doing? What are we fighting for? Who are we? Wait a minute. We're kind of the bad guys here. Why are we doing that? We're killing innocent people. We're spinning ourselves into oblivion. You've got me here with my arms tied behind my back, and so on and so on and so on, that we learned from the Vietnam War and several other wars in Iraq and Iran and who knows the difference, and we go on and on. But at the end of the day, you got these people that come back all frustrated and angry and discouraged and PTSD and on drugs and medications because of the harm that war does to people's minds and hearts and souls and bodies. And then we're kind of going, wow. And it reminds me a lot of that. People in the administration are feeling that kind of reality check. When we get back, we'll have Dr. Bradley respond to that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Carlson Brand interview. Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson had an incredible interview. They distrusted government. They talked about a lot of things, spirituality and a whole lot more. We want to break it down too. We'll do it just for you. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. This is episode 1. Hope you spread the word and share the love. FreedomSizingSun.com. God save the Republic of the United States of America.